y'all, Dixie here. I am already in Spain and the Camino videos will be coming out very soon. But before they do, I figured I should probably share with y'all what I am carrying with me on this journey in the way of gear. For a list of my gear, you can check that out in the video description. I will put my lighter pack link. That's a really great website and tool for compiling your list of things and putting weights in, etc. And the individual items will also have a link if you want to go check those out individually and find out more information about each item. First things first, let's talk about the big three. So on this specific Camino, the Camino Francis, or the French way, I won't be carrying a shelter because I'm not gonna need one. I'll be staying in albergues, which I have equated to hostels. And from what I understand, they are the cheapest option along the way. Apparently there are hotels and other lodging options in different areas on the Camino Francis, but I'll probably be relying on albergues most often. For a sleep system, there will be bunks, so I won't be needing a sleeping pad, but I am carrying with me the 30-degree Enlightened Equipment quilt that I took with me on the PCT this summer to fill in fire closure areas. Now, some people seem to get by just fine with a sleeping bag liner, but I freeze at night. I'm a cold sleeper, and I know that temperatures will be cooler in Spain at night, and even though I'll be inside, I didn't want to be freezing. To me, it was worth having some additional weight to make sure that I'm going to be warm. I know that they have some smaller gear shops along the way, so I can probably pick something up if I need to, if I find I'm too hot. But going on the safe side, we do pack our fears. I'm gonna take that 30-degree quilt. Now for my pack, I'm gonna be taking the 3F ultralight pack that's 35 to 45 liters and supposedly Dyneema. I'd heard about this pack because it is a cheaper option for a Dyneema pack. It's made in China. It's the same folks that make the Lanshan tent that kind of models the Z-Packs tent that I had tested out. So I figured since I'm gonna be out for a month to 2 months backpacking and traveling in Europe, it'll be a good time to kind of test this pack out. I'm sure I'll be getting rained on at some point, so I can let y'all know how it performs as a more or less waterproof pack. My initial thoughts on the pack out of the bag are it does feel pretty much waterproof or highly water resistant. It seems to be made fairly well. They suggest that you put a sit pad on the pack for extra durability on the back and to act as a frame more or less. So I have the sit pad that came with my Gossamer Gear Mariposa pack that I'm just gonna use with it. The only thing so far that I'm absolutely not a fan of is the chest strap feels like a piece of ribbon. Like exactly as if I was gonna go cheer at a football game on Friday night as a cheerleader and tie a ribbon in my hair. That's what the chest strap feels like. But other than that, everything else seems to be pretty well made for it to be such an economically priced pack. The shoulder straps and hip belt are padded pretty well. The hip belt pockets seem to be large enough to fit my cell phone, snacks, or anything else that I would want to carry in there. It's got a roll top area, a little hydration port, the mesh pocket on the outside. It's got most of the bells and whistles, if you will, as any other backpacking pack. Now the interesting thing is my sister Montana is going to be carrying the Hyperlight Mountain Gear Southwest 2400, which I think is more or less comparable or what this 3F UL pack is trying to mimic. So it'll be good to see how these two packs compare along the way and how each of them holds up, especially in rain. I'll be lining my pack with a Gossamer Gear pack liner. They're just $5 for a set of 2. They worked well on the PCT for me this summer and my mom. So I got another pack for me and Montana to use on this trip. Now the reason for the pack liner, I don't put all of my stuff in that, but I like to have redundancies when it comes to waterproofing, even though this pack is quote unquote waterproof or highly water resistant. So I always line my pack with a liner and then throw in whatever I'm gonna sleep in, my sleeping bag, or in this instance, the quilt, and then I roll it down and put everything else on top. I'll be using the same Black Diamond Alpine Cork trekking poles that I've had for a couple of thru hikes now. The only difference that I'll be making in those is they now have these rubber tips on the bottom. They just slide on and slide off. Since there will be a lot of walking on sidewalks and roads and gravelly areas, I just thought that these rubber tips would be less annoying and not click, click, click so much, and then also actually grip on those harder surfaces. For electronics, I have 2 types of European plug. Well, it's the same type of plug, but I have two different ones. One is just a single plug adapter. I plug my normal little cube into that, and then my cords that have a USB end like normal. And then I also have one that has several USB ports on it. And the reason I decided to go with both of these is because I would prefer to take up less space in a power strip. I know that there are going to be a lot of people trying to charge stuff at the same time like I experienced on the other trails, so I always found that it was helpful if I could plug in several things into one little port. But in case that big block is too big to fit in a certain area, I don't want to not have the option to charge something, so I brought the single one also. Then of course I have several different cords to charge my different items, my headphones, and just some other little accessories that I'll need. I assume most nights I'll be able to charge my electronics wherever I'm staying, but in case there aren't enough outlets, or if the outlets are located not right near where I'm sleeping and I don't want to leave things charging unattended, then I am carrying a 20,000 milliamp hour Anker brick charger. Now this is probably overkill for most people, but because I will have a lot of different camera equipment and accessories to go with that stuff, then I want to make sure I have enough to charge while I'm walking. And then I figure I can always charge that big brick at night unattended, because it won't be the end of the world if it ends up gone, and then charge everything else later. So most folks I think could probably get by with one of the lipstick size chargers, or even potentially for sure should be good with a 10,000 milliamp hour charger. Now, if you're wanting to see the camera equipment that I'm carrying with me to capture this journey, you can find those items listed in my lighter pack list in the video description. I figured that could be a whole separate video in itself, so it'd just be easier to refer y'all to that if you want to see exactly what I'm carrying. But today I just wanted to go over things that somebody who is going to go walk the Camino de Santiago might want to have with them. And as I mentioned before, it's important to have redundancies with waterproofing, so I put all of my electronics down in a gallon Ziploc bag and then in my pack. Now let's talk about camp shoes. I'll be wearing and walking in Ultra Lone Peaks 4.0. And for town and the albergues, I'm actually going to have my Tiva sandals. They're pretty lightweight and foamy and comfortable. I just wanted to have something to be a little bit more comfortable, and I haven't had sandals or camp shoes since the beginning of the Pacific Crest Trail. And since I don't have the added weight of some of the things that I generally would have on a long distance backpacking trip, then I don't know, it just seemed like it would be nice to have the added comfort. Also, there are so many people in and out of these albergues on the Camino that I'm just not really interested in catching the foot funk. So being able to shower wearing these sandals I thought was a really good idea. And it is generally recommended that people who walk the Camino do have some sort of sandal or flip-flop to shower in. For this trip, I'm only carrying 2 pair of socks. One to sleep in, so a thick pair of smart wool socks, and then one to hike in. Just an ankle-length pair of darn tough wool socks. Normally on a trip where I'm hiking, I like to have 2 pair to hike in, but I just decided to cull a pair because I'm gonna be stopping somewhere where I can wash out my socks every night, allow them to air dry while I'm sleeping, and then put them back on in the morning. And if they're not completely dry, it's not the end of the world. I'm not blister prone, so it's not really something that I am stressing over, and I think that it'll work out just fine, but I'll let y'all know. For hiking in, I've got a Columbia PFG Bahama long sleeve shirt, button up like I normally wear, my barely baggy Patagonia shorts, one sports bra, it's BCG brand from Academy Sports and Outdoors. I have 2 pair of ex officio underwear, which I'll just rotate out each day, wear a pair when I shower, wash a pair, and then put the clean pair on from the day before and allow the recently washed pair to dry out overnight. The clothes that I hike in each day, I'll be washing and allowing to dry while I sleep at night. And then to sleep in each night, I've got a long sleeve Woolex shirt, a pair of leggings, and then I have my puffy for the more chilly nights, or even if I'm chilly during the day while walking. I always have that puffy. If nothing else, it acts as a good pillow, or in the instance that I have a pillow in an albergue, then a pillowcase. So my sleeping clothes won't be worn until after I've had a shower for the day. However, eventually they could get a little funky smelling, so I know there will be some opportunities along the way to wash everything well in a washer machine, or even by hand in a bucket, or whatever. So in those instances, then I've got this town dress right here that I'm wearing. I mean, I could always wash this on a night when I'm wearing my sleeping clothes and allow it to dry out. So everything kind of gets rotated out and washed at some point. But the good thing is there will be daily showers, so my clothing and my body won't be as rank as normal. And all of my clothing lives in a Cuban Fire stuff sack from Z-Packs. I'll have my anti-gravity gear, rain jacket, and rain pants. I know a lot of people on the Camino wear a poncho. That could work, but I already had this particular rain gear, so I just brought it along. For sun protection, I've got a wide brim hat. I thought about bringing my Reflectix umbrella, but I decided against it just really to save the 8 ounces, and I knew that I could protect myself enough with my hat. I'm hoping there won't be a lot of rain, so I don't regret that decision, but worst case, I can probably always buy one in a town somewhere if I really feel like it's something that I need. The usual $5 special Dollar General sunglasses. And finally, I have 50 SPF sunscreen and some chapstick that also has sunscreen in it. Some other odds and ends are my Z-Packs Cuban Fiber fanny pack and my Cuban Fiber wallet. I already had the Cuban Fiber wallet. It wouldn't really matter what type of wallet I have because I'll be keeping it and my passport and other valuables and probably some camera equipment in the fanny pack to have easy access to. Also, because I'll be traveling in some parts of Europe that are well known for pickpocketers, I wanted to have all of my valuables, or at least my passport and money and stuff like that, right close to me to keep it protected. And then when I'm in the different villages along the Camino, I can carry that stuff with me to go eat or to go sightseeing, and it'll be convenient to take along and not leave at the hostel and have to worry about somebody swiping something of value. Now let's talk about food and water. As far as food goes, I'm not carrying any cookware. I don't have a stove or anything like that. Because I'll be going from village to village each day, there will be opportunities to grab some snacks and take with me for the walk during the day. There are even potentially some opportunities to eat lunch along the way, so it's not a necessity to carry cookware. I guess if you wanted to carry something so that you could brew coffee anytime during the day, then you could do that, but it's not a necessity. Now for water, I'm not carrying anything for water treatment. There are places, again, during the day, you're leaving from a village and going to another one and potentially passing through some during the day. So there are chances to fill up with water. And also there are water fountains along the way that you can collect water from. Now there are some natural sources that you could collect from if you wanted to carry a filter just in case. But for me, just not having to worry about it, if I have to carry extra water a couple of days because I have to make it from one village all the way to the other before I can fill up, then that's fine with me. For this trip, I have reverted back to a platypus bladder and tube system. I didn't know whether I could replace smart water bottles while I was here, or if the villages would have large enough bottles for what I was looking for. I suppose I could have carried like an Nalgene or something like that. But I just decided I was familiar with the platypus bladder system and the hose and little bite valve, so I just went back to that because I figured it would be convenient for this trip since I'm not filtering my water. Now the toiletries I'll be carrying for this trip are a bit more extravagant, if you will, than I normally carry. And I think that's because the standards on this trail for cleanliness and hygiene are a little bit higher than on the other trails I've hiked. So I'll have shampoo, conditioner, face wash, and baby powder, a brush, tweezers, and a razor, a bar of soap, well, half a bar of dial soap because I split it with Montana, for washing my body and doing laundry, and a microfiber towel because most of the albergues do not have towels. And then of course a very small repair kit with duct tape, a needle, and then some first aid basics like Benadryl in case we're stung, some anti-diarrheal, and then I do always carry hand sanitizer. I'll probably carry just a little bit of toilet paper from village to village in case of a whoopsie with number 2. For number 1, as usual, I'll just be shaking it off like Taylor Swift, and I get to shower every day out here, so it won't be a big deal. All right, y'all, well, that is what I will be carrying with me on the Camino de Santiago the French way. So if y'all have any questions about this gear in particular, or if you have done the Camino Francis and you want to share with other people what gear you use and what you found to be most helpful, please feel free to leave any of that in the comments below, because I'm just one person with one opinion. Some people go way more minimal on this trail. Some people go way more extravagant because they actually have services that will carry your belongings from village to village if you wanted to do that. So I think that that's really cool for folks who couldn't physically do another trail due to the weight that they would be carrying. So if you feel like, hey, I could walk if I didn't have to carry all this stuff, then there are options that exist for that. Anyway, thank y'all for watching, and we will see y'all on the Camino.